1.21 gigawatts. Great God!
Shall we play a game?
Would you like a jelly baby?
Engage auto systems.
Aye. Engaged.
Clear all moorings.
Cleared, sir.
1/4 impulse power.
You know how to fly, don't you?
No. Do you?
You shall not pass!
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
The Force will be with you, always.
Hi, and welcome to the Geek Hangout podcast. My name is Mark, and I am joined tonight, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Grant. How you doing tonight, Grant?
Hey, Mark. How you doing? Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, joining us for Geek Hangout episode 70. Very exciting show tonight. We're going to find out all about Mark's trip to the Galactic Starcruiser in Walt Disney World. Usually we ask what we've been up to, but that's big news. So, we're going to jump right to it and throw it back to Mark and say, how was it? What did you think?
Well, okay. So I went on the Star Cruiser I was just there last week. I got back on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I will tell you, up front, we really had a great time. It was it was a lot of fun. It was way more fun than I expected it to be.
Oh, okay.
I was really into it. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it. A lot of about the experience. I mean, there were things that were better than I expected, things that weren't so great, but on the whole, we really had a good time. I know it was a lot of fun. So
all right, that's good. All right, so so would you? I want to get into some details, but would you overall would you recommend it for what?
Okay, so yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But again, if we money aside, right, I would say yes, right.
Okay,
but when you factor in the money, it gets it's a tougher call to make, right? This is not a cheap experience. I do think you do a lot.
Okay.
I don't know that you. I don't want to say that you get your money's worth per se, because I don't know what that means exactly.
Right.
But
it means something different for everybody. Right.
Right. But I will say that from the moment they told us, but they stressed it several times. You want to be there at 1 p.m. the day you get there. Right.
Okay.
Like that. You can't board before that, but you want to be there at 1 p.m. And then you go through the boarding process. And that's kind of when it starts, and there's no lie there. It starts as soon as you get there.
Okay. Right?
And then you're going. I think they would sort of make an announcement around 10 o'clock every night.
Right.
And that was after okay, show's over, right? After 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what they said, but that's essentially
what
the
announcement
was, right?
Nothing else is happening today. Go to sleep.
Right. And it's you are doing stuff from, that first day we were running around from 1 o'clock to 10.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'll just as an example, I'm real into my Fitbit. I try to make sure that I get 10,000 steps every day. I've been doing that for over a year now.
Okay. Right.
And so I was a little nervous, not nervous, but I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get my steps if I didn't get a bunch of steps before we got there, right?
Okay, right.
So before we got to the Star Cruiser, I made sure I walked around the hotel a while and I made sure that I had at least 5,000 or 6,000 before we ever left for the Star Cruiser, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's about what I had when I got there. And then I was well over that, my 10,000, so you're and all we did was, you don't leave the hotel, you get to the hotel and then you don't leave the hotel. So it was us walking around the hotel, 2-3 miles worth of me walking around the hotel.
All right.
From in that time frame, so it's we were busy.
So what did they have you what did they have you doing? I don't need a blow by blow, but
right.
I know you get there and there's like I know there's like an introductory ceremony or something.
Right. But it's even before that.
Oh,
they like you start. I mean, it is interesting, and I was, we talked way back. I don't remember what episode it was, but we talked when Starcruiser first opened,
right.
and it may have been episode 60 or something, some back in March sometime.
Okay, right.
And we talked in that episode, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me because I don't see myself like engaging with like the characters and like other people, and like I just don't see that happening, right? But I what I'll say is like what happens is you get there and you start and all four of us, like we were all in a group, there were four guys.
Okay.
And all four of us sort of felt the same way about it. We were a little skeptical about the whole experience.
Okay.
Like there wasn't anybody that was like, I mean, we were all excited to be there, but there wasn't anybody that was like gung ho, I'm all in, right?
Okay, all right.
All of us were a little skeptical of it. And what happens is you get there. And almost immediately after the first thing you do is you go to the atrium. Everything happens in the atrium. That's kind of the main area. And you get there and you start, as soon as we got there, we started seeing people doing stuff, right? Like they were, we're doing little things on computer terminals and they're talking to characters and, you'd see people running by and like doing stuff, and it was like, it sort of pulls you in because you're like, well, what are they doing?
Okay,
right? What's that guy doing?
Yeah.
And so I'll just say, maybe this is a spoiler, maybe it's not, but I'll just say my experience, and all of us had different experiences, right? All four of us.
Oh, okay, right.
My experience started because there was like a computer terminal on the bridge or in the atrium, and I went over and I was just kind of playing around with it. Right. And a lot of what happens on the Starcruiser, it's all phone based. I mean, you are on your phone the entire time, right? And in fact, Disney made sure. I don't mean to jump around here, but like Disney contacted us all before we got to the Starcruiser, and they were like, "Hey, you haven't logged into your Disney Play app yet and set it up. Make sure you do that." Like that, and that is very important. Like Disney Play drives the whole thing.
Okay.
Right. Like you have to have it.
Right. Yeah. If you think you're showing up without your phone, basically, you're not going to have an experience.
Right. They will give you, like, if you don't have a phone, they will give you a phone.
Really?
Right. Yeah. They'll give you like one of theirs to use because you can't, and I think that's, it's mostly for like kids because, little kids don't have, aren't going to have a phone, but, but you have to have a phone because everything happens on the phone, right? I mean, literally, we're walking around the whole time with your phone out.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did something on one of these computer terminals, and I went over and I played with it a little bit, and then like 10 minutes later, I get a message on my phone.
Okay. All right.
And it's like, "Hey, I noticed you were playing around with the computer terminal. Maybe you can do me a favor," right? And that's sort of how it started for me.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
And so I did the favor, and then the favor leads to something else.
Okay.
And it's like you just keep getting these messages on the phone about, and everything leads you to something else.
Okay. All right.
And it's kind of fun. Like, I mean, it's because like you'll be sitting around and it's like I said, like you'll be sitting around and you're like, well, look at all these people doing stuff. I'm not doing anything. Why aren't I getting any messages? And then you'll get a message and you'll be running around, right? So it's all right. It's pretty cool, like how it all is laid out.
Yeah.
And they start early on about like even before you even get there, I got a message on my Disney Play app in the phone saying the Chandrilla Star Line is under investigation, right? By the First Order, like kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's sort of like it just sort of pulls you in. It's cool,
Okay, right, yeah. So that's all right. So that's pretty neat then. So that basically, so what, like from like 1 until like dinner time, I guess you're running around and
yes.
doing like all these like, okay.
Yeah. And then even at dinner time, like you go and eat dinner, and even at dinner, there's stuff happening, right?
Okay.
Like, so, yeah, like there's like a whole dinner show and what happens in the show affects the story. And it's kind of neat.
That's kind of fun, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So And so then what? Like, I know I read somewhere. It's spoilers, I guess, but I know there's like some like dinner, like entertain. There's like a show at dinner time, right?
Yes.
Or is that the second night?
That is well, it's both nights. You get like a little thing. Well,
okay.
no, the first night is the dinner show.
Okay.
And that's the one with Gaia that we saw in the commercial.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So and that's a big deal. She's sort of like, I mean, they make a big deal about her being on the show. She's sort of like the Beyonce of the Star Wars universe in this scenario, right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's like a big deal that she's there.
Okay.
You know, and you know that's all part of the story. You know,
is she is she the one that she's a Twi'lek or Twilight?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And who's I saw the other picture and I've seen pictures before. Who's the Greedo? It's a female Greedo.
Okay, so she is part of Gaia's like ensemble.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. So she's like she plays an instrument, you know, and she's just walking around, and you know, and that, I have a picture. I'll scroll through some pictures here later, but like I have a picture with her, and she's just kind of walking around. She speaks Greedo-ese, whatever that is.
Right. Yeah, right.
Rhodian, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
she's a Rhodian. All right.
Yeah. So she speaks that language. So you don't you can't have a conversation with her, right? Because
Yeah, right. That's interesting though. So then the mask like cool? Did it like?
Oh yeah, it's neat. The mask is really impressive. I mean, the lips move. And, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
so all right. So you're running around. You're doing all these like side things and stuff like that, and then I guess you have dinner, and then what's after dinner? Then more missions and stuff like that.
Yeah, more missions, and so there's it's just like a cruise, right? Like there's two dinner seatings, right? Like there's the 5 o'clock seating, and then there's a seating after that, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
And so while we're eating dinner, the people who have the later seating are running around doing things,
right?
And then when it was our time, so I think the first night we had, is it the first night? I think so. So we ate dinner, and then I think immediately after dinner, or shortly after dinner, we had lightsaber training.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fun.
And so we went and did that. And what I'll say is like, all right, so I know in the videos the lightsaber training looked kind of lame.
Right.
Right. And it's not I'll say it's not the best, but it was way more fun than it is portrayed in the videos.
Okay.
All right. So it's a lot more interactive. If I were Disney, I absolutely would sit down and have a talk with those marketing people that put that video together, because they really did not do justice to a lot of what actually happens. Right.
That's interesting. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, right. So it's not that the experience is bad. It's that the marketing of it is bad.
Yeah. I think the marketing has been terrible.
Oh, that's very.
For this, I mean, it doesn't help that the expense doesn't help, right? Like the cost of the thing doesn't help, but like I think the marketing has been really poor.
And even more so, the reason that they should really, spend more money on the marketing to show you, like, look, we know you're spending a lot of money, but look how cool this is. Try to sell you on that. Okay.
And I'll say this too, after having done it, and knowing how sensitive they are about like spoilers for certain things.
Okay.
It's got to be hard to explain to somebody what this is without spoiling anything. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're sort of hamstrung about how much they can say.
Right, because they want to keep the experience.
Right.
They don't want to spoil the experience, but at the same time, they gotta figure out a way to let you know key details.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's almost like a good movie trailer. A good movie trailer will show you enough to get you excited, but hopefully not give anything away.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. So okay, that's pretty cool. So all right. So that was the first day then.
Yes, and then so then we had, and a lot happens in the atrium. So it's like you had dinner. I think we had lightsaber training, and then I think we were also we had our muster at one point, which is like the security muster, which is like they have on a real ship.
Okay, right.
And where they kind of explain, if what happens if there's an emergency, but of course it's in-universe emergency, right?
Yes,
like if you see this alarm go off, it's a big deal. That the alarm,
right.
It's you're in the story. I mean, there's also a training on if there's an actual emergency, but this is just for the in-story emergency.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So we have that. Then So that was after we got there. Then we had dinner. Then we did lightsaber training, and then I think we had to report upstairs to the atrium for something.
Okay.
After that, and then that was like the first day, right? Like it kind of, and we'd been running around, and we were. I'll tell you, we were all exhausted.
I'm sure, right?
Right. Because it's like I looked at the map of the hotel of the Starcruiser,
right,
before we left, and I was thinking, okay, well, the bridge and everything is in the front, the engine room must be in the rear, and so you're probably running back and forth a lot, but that's not how it is at all. Like everything sort of happens in one area of the Starcruiser,
right,
and it's like on 3 floors.
Oh.
And one right above the other, and you're sort of up and down on those floors.
Okay.
But it's not like I envisioned, like I said, like the bridge would be at the front of the hotel,
right?
The engine room would be in the rear, and you would be running back and forth.
Right.
But that's not how it is.
You're looking at the spaceship on your screen there, and you figure, like you said, you figured it would be an approximation of that or something, like like a traditional cruise ship. But but it is not. That's interesting.
No, that's not how it is. But nevertheless, you're moving around a lot.
Right.
Okay. Between this, so everything was sort of wrapped up for the night, and then we actually hit the bar,
right,
with the lounge. And the lounge is really cool. We spent a lot of time there. That was actually a lot of fun. The drinks, food on the Starcruiser was fantastic.
Okay.
There wasn't anything I ate that I didn't like.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right. Everything was really good.
Good.
The drinks, on the other hand, were quite expensive.
Okay.
And I tried 4 or 5 different ones. I didn't really like any of the ones I tried.
Oh, interesting.
Like they're all really cool to look at.
Yes, right.
But like as far as how they tasted, no, I wasn't impressed.
How interesting. That's
Yeah. And it was like a lot of it, as you would imagine, a lot of them are quite sweet. So if you're not into, and I'm not into, I don't like a sweet, really sweet drinks.
Right.
I don't mind like a Moscow Mule or something like that, but these were significantly sweeter than that.
Okay, right.
In some cases, there was one that had like the one that I actually took a really good picture of it. I didn't put it in my little thing here, but I think I posted it on Instagram, and it was they called it the Fiery Mustafarian.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
And I took a picture of that, and I actually bought the glass for it. But that actually had hot sauce in it.
Oh.
And and they were like, and that was one of the ones that was like recommended. They were like, oh, you really need to try this.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and it wasn't great.
No. Oh, no. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Because I know I saw. Well, when we went when I was there in Galaxy's Edge in the cantina, I really enjoyed all the drinks and stuff. And I don't remember. I remember liking the drinks that we tried there. So it's surprising that. Now again, maybe it was just being silly, and because we were there at like 9:30 in the morning, so we were just kind of goofing around and having a couple of drinks and stuff. So maybe if you went like at the end of the night, if you're going to the bar, you actually want to drink, so maybe I could see that being like, oh no, this isn't what I interesting.
Yeah, by dinner on day 2,
right?
Like I had fully converted to I was just drinking beer. Like that's because I was like, because it's like I said, also the drinks were quite expensive, so it wasn't like, oh, I'll try this, it's like $7 or $8. No, it was like $18.
Yeah, right.
And so if you didn't like it, it was like, well, that was $18 at the window, right?
So did they have just like space beer basically?
Yeah, well, it was they had like it was funny. They had like it would be like Trandoshan ale and
Oh, that's
Gamorrean, like, and then they'd have underneath what it actually was. Like, so one of them was like a dogfish head,
Oh, that's
a
fun.
dogfish ale or something.
Yeah.
And one of them was something else I recognize, but I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
That's fun.
So
that's cool though.
Yeah, that was cool. But like I went to the bar the second night and I ordered, and I was like, I can't remember which one I had, but I liked it. I was like, it was whatever the dogfish one was,
Right.
And they were like, I don't know what that is, but I can show you the menu, right? So,
Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, it's the Gamorrean ale. Can you get it for me, please?
So they're playing along.
Yeah, they're playing along.
Yeah.
But he also said, like, so, because like I said, I was done with the mixed drinks at that point.
Right.
And obviously you walk into the bar, and I have a picture of that. It's in here too. But like, you walk into a regular bar and you have all the bottles behind, what they have, right?
Yeah.
Well, they can't do that here.
Because it's
so I didn't know if it was a full bar or not. I didn't know if they just had what was on the menu or not.
Oh, right.
So I finally asked the guy. I was like, do you have like a full bar, or is it just what's on the
right
on the drink menu? And he's like, oh no, he's like, I can give you pretty much whatever you want. And he held up like one of those like guns you see behind bars, like the
oh right, yeah,
the with the trigger and they press the button and different sodas and whatever comes out. Well, it's that just with like alcohol.
Oh, how funny. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, because they don't want to show them pouring the bottles behind. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Right. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I was like, do you have scotch? And he and he was like, yeah, I have. He's like, I can give you this or this scotch. It was like Johnny Walker and McCallum or something. Right. Like that. I was like,
space. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool. That's cool though. That it's cool that they have both. You know what I mean? They probably should let people know earlier on. Like, look, we do have a full bar, or whatever, but. Like they want you to buy all the fancy drinks,
right?
They should
right, so they can charge you, and then they want you to sell you the souvenir cup and the whole thing, right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, but you said all the food was good. Like the one night you posted a picture of, I guess what was it, like shrimp cocktail, but the shrimp were blue.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. I mean, all of the food was really good. I mean, I truly like all the food's included. Right.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
You didn't pay for anything. Like even
that's cool.
Even at the bar after, when you go to the bar, they had like little bar things. Like they had they had like a pizza, like like this flatbread pizzas. They had these great like chips. I forget what they call them, tubers or something like that.
Okay, right.
And those were fantastic.
Oh, that's
like I got those both nights we were there. I got those.
Cool.
And but all that stuff is included. Like if you ate it, it was included.
Oh, good. Okay.
The drinks were all on you.
Right. So the alcoholic drinks.
Right.
Okay.
But like, or soft drinks, that were included. But like, but they even had like you'd go out pretty much any time of day. You could go out into the atrium and they had like little snacks and stuff. Nothing big, but like little stuff.
That's cool.
And all that's included. So we got there and had lunch on day one.
Oh, okay.
And that's all not, I guess, cafeteria style, sort of like you go back and everything, all the eating happens in that one area, the Crown of Corellia dining room.
Oh,
but like,
right.
It's set up so that, it can be cafeteria style, or you could, at dinner, the dinners were like, like a.
Oh, like they served you at dinner time.
They served you, right.
Okay.
So we, but like I'm telling you, all the food was fantastic.
That's cool.
It was really, really good stuff.
Yeah. I always got a kick out of that. I saw some behind the scenes videos and they were showing it was something. It was essentially a grilled cheese, but like it was all bubbly and it looked very alien. But the guy bites into it. He goes, "Oh, it's grilled cheese." Like it was like
it was great.
Yeah,
I tried that.
That's it.
And it was like grilled cheese. Yeah, and it's just these like little like flatbread pieces of, almost like crispy cracker things.
Okay,
but they were like cheese bread almost.
Yeah.
And and then it came with like a little cup of like what would be tomato soup, right? Like, and
Right,
you
yeah.
dunk it in there, and
That's
it was
right.
it was fantastic. It was very simple but really good.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I like all that stuff. I thought it was even like Ronto roasters and all that. I thought
Yeah.
it was just fun to be like, oh, what's this? And like trying it and stuff. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So,
all of the and I actually got to the point where like I couldn't, like, you're not going to go hungry on this thing, because it was
good.
like
Okay.
I actually was overfull. Like, I was like, I can't eat again.
Right.
I don't want to eat again.
Right.
Like, I've already eaten. Yeah.
I'm not used to eating this much.
Right. Like,
Normally-
I don't eat these kind of meals when I'm at
So
home.
they feed you like a cruise ship then. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's
and
good, though.
even when you go down to the day you spend in Hollywood Studios, when you go down to
Right.
Galaxy's Edge, they give you a credit on your My
Oh.
Disney Experience app for lunch. So you
Oh,
can
that's
go and
cool.
you can go for Docking Bay in Galaxy's Edge. So I think
Yeah,
you can only use it in Galaxy's Edge. So it's Docking Bay 7. You can go and eat lunch there.
Oh, okay, right. All right.
And-
So how did that part work? So like, when you get, so they're like, all right, now we're gonna go down to the planet now or whatever. Is there like is that part of your trip, or is there a story reason you're going down there?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole, it's a pleasure cruise. And the whole thing is you're going to Black Spire Outpost. You're going to have a layer, a stop at Black Spire
Like,
Outpost.
okay, like a traditional cruise. Okay,
Right.
Got it.
But so that's the story reason. But leading up to that, like that whole first day, like at the end of the first day, we all had like missions to do in Galaxy's Edge, right?
Oh, okay, all right.
And so that's the other reason you're going. And
Got it. Right.
and it's cool, like just like a cruise. You get up at like the shuttles from the hotel or from the Starcruiser to Galaxy's Edge they start at like 8:30 in the morning. So we got up and ate breakfast, and then sort of got our stuff together, and then we went down to Galaxy's Edge for the day.
Okay.
And what was funny is, like, we were all sitting around the bar the night before, and we said the Sublight Lounge.
Right.
We're all sitting there on the Sublight Lounge. I got to use the right terminology.
I know, right?
But we and we were saying, hey, well, we had these things. All of us had different things we had to do. So we were like, oh, and plus we had fast passes or lightning lanes to the Millennium Falcon and Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
So our thought was, okay, we go down there, we knock this stuff out real early, and then we go over and hit some of the rides around the rest of Hollywood Studios. That was our plan, right?
Oh, okay.
But I what I'll tell you is, like, you get, like I said, we got there probably 9-ish. We got to Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
And the last transport back to the Starcruiser is at 4.
Okay.
Right. So, and that's why we were like, oh, we'll knock this stuff out and then we'll go hit some rides.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how it works. Right? Like we were pretty much there all day.
Oh, all right.
Right. Like, I mean, if you're doing now you can leave. There's nothing that says you're tied to it or anything, but like, we were there, we had things, we had these things piled, and what happened, and the whole experience is like this, like, so you do something and then you get something else to do, right? Like,
okay.
And it's, so you do one thing, and then that one thing leads to 2 other things,
right?
And then you got to go do those things.
Okay.
And and again, it's not like you have to do this, but it got to be kind of fun to do it, right? Like, well, what does this do? Where does this lead me, right?
Right.
So it did get to be kind of, it sounds like it's like a lot of work, and it was. I mean, we were going the whole time, but it's fun.
It
right?
sounds like almost like a real life video game, in that, like in the video games, like especially the open world ones, you go to the character and they're like, oh, can you go do this for me?
Right.
And you're like, sure, I'll do that for you. And then, you run off on your mission, and then you meet somebody else and they tell you to go do something, so it seems very much like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And
that's pretty cool.
So it's like, it wasn't like a chore. It was like, well, what's this going to happen? Where's this going to lead me? Right.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is, the 4 of us all had, like, we all got the Galaxy's Edge that day, and then we scattered, right? Like, so we ended up riding Millennium Falcon together and Rise of the Resistance together, and three of us ate lunch together.
Okay.
But other than that, I didn't see those guys. We were all running around doing our own thing.
Because everybody's off doing their mission.
Right, everybody's got different things that they had to do. Now, there were a few things that we had in common.
Okay.
But like for the most part, we were all running around doing different stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's
pretty
cool.
So it's like you're not even I mean, you could tell who the Starcruiser people were because they were like I'd walk up to something that I was supposed to do and maybe somebody was already there.
Okay, all right.
You'd have to wait till they were done and then go do it, like that kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like like there was a line, but you might walk up and there might be a little group of people and you'd be like, oh, I'll come back and do this later.
Okay, right.
Kind of thing. But it was. So we all did our own thing, and then we were there like all day, and I ended up only having, and then I got something. I think most of us got something that we ended up having to be back at the Starcruiser by 3 because there was something we had to do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, so I ended up like I had maybe an hour and a half where I went over to Hollywood Studios and I was going to try to get on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but it was down when I went over.
Okay.
And so I went shopping, got some, stuff for the kids. And then I went back and then Mickey and Minnie was open by the time I walked past it again. But at that point I had to be back at the Starcruiser. So I just headed back.
Okay. So like without spoiling things, why did you have to be back early? Was it something as part of your mission type of thing?
Yeah, there was something going on at 3 and they needed people to assist with it. So we had to be back there by 3. And that was actually a pretty cool story point.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. That's really cool. Is. I had way more, I was way more involved and I had way more fun than I really expected to.
Okay, yeah. So I guess your second night there, does everything wrap up and then the next day you get up and leave, or is there more like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so the second night you have dinner.
Okay.
What happens is so everybody's little individual story that they're on, that sort of has a wrap up.
Okay. I got it. Right.
So everybody like if you're following a path, if you're following a storyline, that storyline will have a sort of a conclusion.
Okay.
Right. And then there's the big conclusion where everything sort of comes together in the atrium.
Okay.
That night, that's sort of the finale.
Okay. All right.
Right. And so it's so like you're busy. Like you get back from the ship. You had some stuff to do. I had a little bit of time to go shopping, because they have like a little store on the ship.
Oh, they're okay.
Not much in there. I wasn't real impressed with what they had, but they had some cool stuff.
Okay, all right.
And then we ate dinner, and then and the blue shrimp was the second night. By the way, that was. They do this. It's kind of cool. They do this I think it's like a 5-course meal or something.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a Tastes of the Galaxy or something like that.
Oh, fun, right.
So it's kind of cool. Like the whole wait staff gets into it. So they make this big presentation and they bring it as they bring out each dish. Right. And so the blue shrimp was from Felucia.
Okay.
And that was kind of neat. So I took a video of it, and it was good. That was real good. So anyway, but we had dinner. There's stuff going on at dinner.
Okay.
That you're sort of paying attention to. What we were fortunate because so there's the captain's table at dinner.
Okay.
And that's an if you want to sit at the captain's table, you can, but that is an upcharge.
Oh, okay.
That you have to pay to do that, right? So, but what was cool is our table was directly next to the captain's table,
right? Yeah.
So we sort of got the benefit. I mean, we didn't hear everything that was going on, but we got a little bit of the benefit from where we were because we were right there.
Right.
So and some of the characters will sit there. The captain obviously sits there.
Okay.
the Imperial officer comes down and he sits there and he's interacting with people.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it was you know, and that was kind of fun. This also like the Imperial officer it's Lieutenant Croy.
Okay.
You know, that guy was fantastic.
That's cool. Right?
Fantastic. Like he was a riot to like, just as the whole thing unfolded. Like there was one day I was waiting for the guys. They were off doing something, and I was just waiting for them to finish up, and I was sitting in the atrium.
Right.
And he's just walking around the atrium, you know, talking to people and to the kids, and he was just hysterical, right? It's you know, because he's like the straight man, you know,
right.
and he's the, you know, and the villain, and he was sort of like but he was like the funny, like a bit of a funny villain, right?
Okay,
you know,
all right.
And like so strict that he was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and he's walking around talking to the kids, and I mean, he was great. He was a riot to watch.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So he was there he was like a character. He was there the whole time.
Yes. Well, he gets there. Yeah, he gets there shortly after it all starts. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. So, are there what other characters are floating around? I mean, are there like stormtroopers on board?
There's stormtroopers.
Okay.
There's not. If I have one little quibble,
right.
It's that there's like 2 stormtroopers.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like so, and they're great.
Right.
You know, and them and Lieutenant Croy could also be very funny.
Okay.
But like, yeah, there were like, you know, there were like 2 stormtroopers. They were like, yeah, no, get a few more.
4.
Yeah. Right. But yeah.
And did they have the? I know there's a droid on board.
Yes.
Was that? I forget its name.
Wait, I have it. Hang on.
Oh, did you get one?
Yeah, it's SK620.
Okay, all right.
SK620, and yeah. So he's comes in, and all of them, like, they're not just like, that was one of the things that sort of surprised me, or what I wasn't expecting, is that they're not just wandering around.
Okay.
You know, like all of them, every character on the ship has a purpose for being there, and has a story.
Okay,
right?
I got you.
So
right.
so even the droid, like SK, there's a story with SK, right?
Oh.
that you sort of follow, right?
Right.
And that's kind of cool. So it's yeah, none of them are just there.
Right.
Like they're all there for a reason.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. Then.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So anyway, that was my point with SK. So he's wandering around, and SK was great.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I mean, that was a really cool little thing. And you and I, having been to Comic Cons and people build these things themselves, like they're fairly impressive, and it was that level, right?
Okay,
like
right.
You know, it was pretty interactive. So that was
cool.
neat.
Oh, that's fun.
You know, and he had like a little thing on his front. They gave us all magic bands when we get on board the ship.
Okay.
And you scan your magic band a lot, and I think that's how it knows. That's a lot of how
I know
the Disney Play app knows you've done something or been somewhere, because you scanned your band at this place.
Okay.
And you could scan your band on SK, and,
that's
it
fun,
would
right.
know that you interacted with SK, and then you get some stuff.
So,
for that.
you're right. Behind the scenes, it's like this guy interacted with a droid. He now has this piece of information, so he should probably go do this next or something. Okay.
Right.
All right, that's cool then.
Yeah.
All right. So the overall experience, it very much seems like a live, kind of like a live theater type of thing, but like on like a grand scale. Like, you know,
yes.
Like I know there's these shows I do in New York where it's like the city is the theater, and you know,
Right,
you run around to
right.
these different bars and do different things like that. So it almost seems like something like that.
Yes.
So okay, that's interesting then. So it's like, you know, if you're gonna pay for this, you know, don't think you're paying for this and you're gonna go on vacation. You're paying for a 2-day adventure. Is more as like probably a better way to look at it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, it's not, it's like, I will say, like, and I'm, you know, I'll show pictures of our room, you know, and they have this, you know, when when they rolled this out, they made this big deal about how you have this digital assistant in your room.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's this interactive digital assistant that's sort of like Siri, but like there's like a screen and there's a robot, and I forget what exactly the robot's called, but like,
Right.
you can ask the robot questions. The robot will, or the thing will read you a bedtime story if you have kids, like that kind of thing, right?
Right.
It's pretty neat. Like we played with it when we first got to the room,
Okay.
and just to kind of test it out a little bit. But we weren't in a room, so the thing is really neat,
but
we never used it.
Oh, okay.
Because we used it when we first walked in,
right,
and then we didn't. We were there to sleep. We like we went to the bar, we went to the Sublight Lounge after stuff was over for the night. We were usually at the Sublight Lounge until a little around 12 or after.
Okay.
And then we go back to the room and we go to sleep, and get up the next morning and start again. So it wasn't.
Yeah. So I guess if, like you said, if you're there with kids, you're not dragging them to the lounge. So
right.
You go back to the room, this thing can entertain you or something like that. Oh, okay. That's pretty neat though.
Yeah, but like for us personally, like we barely spent any time. We were in the room to sleep, and that was it.
Okay. All right. Oh, cool. So
yeah.
So here, I guess let's take a look at some of the pictures.
Okay.
Then. And you can kind of take us through and show us a little bit around, I guess.
Okay, bear with me.
For those of you, if you're listening to the podcast, we have some stuff up on YouTube.
Yeah, so this is like the obligatory photo that everybody gets when they get this Starcruiser. Like Twitter is littered with people underneath the Galactic Starcruiser sign, so that I'm sharing it here. But I should say also, like, all right, so you can see how we're dressed in this picture. All of us were just wearing t-shirts and shorts. Some people were dressed like us. A lot of people were a lot of people didn't get all dressed up. Some people sort of like cobbled together their own little thing, and some people were like had the whole full on,
the whole getup.
The whole getup. Like there was another tweed like guy there.
Really?
It was all he had the whole
the headgear and all
the headgear and the whole 9 yards.
He
was there. There was a guy, and I thought this was incredibly funny, and I keep saying if the Mandalorian doesn't work this into the TV show, it's a missed opportunity, because there was a guy there in Mandalorian gear.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and you have to go through, like when you get on the Starcruiser, you have to go through the metal detector.
Right.
So the guy's all geared out in his Mandalorian gear, and his helmet's in the like little tray that you have to pass. And I was just like, that's just hysterical. Like, anyway. So that's it. Like Mandalorian needs to work that in, because I just think that's really funny.
That was funny. Yeah. That's cool. I didn't realize they let you wear. I knew they had like some costuming stuff that you could wear. I didn't realize they let you go like full on like
I don't think you can wear a mask.
Okay.
So I think he had the helmet, but I think he couldn't wear it.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. But even to let the guy come in with the alien and the tentacles or whatever they're called. You can hire them, like they have face painters on board the ship. Okay.
And you can hire them. They'll come to your room and they'll paint up your face for whatever. And I don't know how much it costs, but there was a few people walking around like that, it was real elaborate. But I would say for the most part, people dressed, there were fewer the people who were like full on Star Wars robes, gear there were only a handful of them.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people sort of cobbled together their own kind of thing and made it look Star Warsy.
Right.
That was more common.
Okay.
But and then there were a lot of people that were just like us, walking around. So it wasn't. That was something I wondered about. I'm like, am I going to go there and all these people are dressed up and I'm the only one? That's not how it is.
Look at this guy with a shorts and t-shirt.
Right.
Meanwhile, okay.
So my thing was I had the in-universe t-shirts. I thought that was clever.
Right.
So I got several compliments on this picture because it was like the Carillion shipyards.
Okay, yeah.
I got several compliments on that, but like nobody commented on this, and this is actually my favorite shirt.
What's that?
It says, I don't know if you can see it. It says Surf Paradise Scarif.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if it was like too subtle for anybody to notice, but I thought that was really funny.
That's funny, yeah.
And nobody commented on it. And I was like, come on. Anyway, okay. So these are pictures.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Of the atrium and the first picture up in the corner,
right,
is from the back of the atrium looking forward to the bridge, right? And those big
over here, okay,
windows are that's the bridge.
So you're looking at the front of the ship there,
right?
Okay.
And the second larger picture, that's from the atrium through the window and onto the bridge.
Okay.
Okay, and then the picture down here at the bottom is from the bridge out into the atrium.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so it's like the atrium's huge. That's where you spend most of your time. Right. So that's sort of like what you see when you first get there, and it is really impressive. Like I'll say it's a neat, like you walk in there, it's pretty impressive to be in there. The lighting is really cool.
Okay.
And it's a bit like being in a casino, like, there's no windows, there's no clocks. You don't know what time it is, right? Like you don't know what time of day it is. It's a bit like that,
okay, right.
Intentionally. So these are pictures of the room. Now we lucked out. We weren't sure what kind of room we were going to get. There's like 4-person rooms, and that would be a little awkward.
Right.
But or we lucked out. We got the 5-person room. So this is like
nice.
5-person room.
Okay.
There's one like queen bed.
Right.
Right. That's this picture over here, and then you have like a Murphy bed kind of thing in the wall.
Oh, okay. I see
like underneath the TV, and that folds out to this.
Okay. All right.
And then you have the bunk beds.
Right.
And none of us were super tall. There was one guy. One was taller than the rest of us, but there were 3 of us there were basically the same height.
Oh, okay.
And so none of us had trouble with the. I ended up with the bed somehow. I'm not sure how, but I ended up.
Oh, that's funny.
Everybody else ended up there anyway. Somehow I got the bed.
That's funny because I saw the pictures of the bunk beds and I figured, he got stuffed in a bunk bed.
Oh yeah, I got the bed. And I'm not sure why, because I was like, I don't need the bed. I don't care. And they were like, no, take it. I was like, all right.
Yeah, well, you're like, fine, that's all right. Yeah. So the TV that's there, like, is that
okay. So the thing I was just talking about, the digital assistant thing,
right?
In the second picture here,
yeah,
that is where the digital assistant.
Okay, I see.
Right. Is like you can go in there and I guess you can ask it questions about your day and upcoming appointments and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I think it does all that.
Yeah.
But like I said, like we just never used it.
Right.
It's cool, but we played around with it a little bit, but we never really used it.
Okay.
And then this is just a regular TV. Like, it's got this screen, like sort of like almost like a screensaver, I guess.
But then
it shows you where you're going in universe.
I got you. Right. But then you can flip the channel and turn on regular TV if you wanted to.
Right.
Oh, that's weird that they would.
Yeah.
I guess it's both, but that's kind of weird. It's you're in universe, but they have your local TV station coming in.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. All right. Well, whatever. But like you said, you're busy. It's not like you're sitting around watching TV anyway.
Right. Yeah. And then this is the middle picture here is like the infamous. That's the viewport.
Okay. All right.
And where you can sit there and you can see ships going by and you can see that you're flying by planets, and it's like when the Halcyon goes into hyperdrive,
right,
you see that up on the bridge, but you also would see it like all these screens
they're all coordinated
are coordinated.
So
when you see, like, there's a point, I guess spoiler alert, there's a point where there's TIE fighters flying around the Halcyon. You see them if you're in your room. You see them on the viewport.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
And how do they look in terms of like visually? Is it like pretty good technical? Like, a pretty good. I guess
it's okay.
Okay. I was gonna say, at the end of the day, you're looking at a video screen, but I was just curious, if it was something like really good, or if it's just like, okay, this is fine.
It was in the rooms. It was okay.
Got it.
I'll say, like, on the bridge, it's amazing.
So they were much better up on the bridge.
On the bridge, it's amazing. It looks like you're like my screensaver tonight is the Halcyon on the bridge.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
So, and you can see just from that, like this is a picture I took.
Oh, okay.
It's a much better picture.
Right.
Right. So when you're in the atrium and when you're on the bridge, it's really impressive. I was less impressed by the screens in the room.
Okay.
So that's the room. The rooms were really nice. The shower has one of those what is it? They call it the rainfall.
Oh, like a rainfall shower. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had one of those.
Oh,
I don't have a picture of that, but and then this is the dining room. This is Crown Acrylia dining room.
Okay.
And so this is where you eat. The captain's tables, like I said, the captain's tables are sort of right there in the middle.
Oh, I see.
And our table, that's actually my coffee cup sitting on the table right there. I when I took the picture, I was like, why did I do that? I'll have to edit that out.
Right.
But that was our table. So you can see, and the captain sat like right there. So you could sort of, you didn't hear everything that was going on, but you could see that, what they were talking about.
But for free, you're like, hey, we
were all
if we're not having to pay for that upgrade. Yeah, exactly. Free entertainment,
right? So that was kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
What do I have next? Okay. Oh, so this is the bar.
Oh, neat.
The Sublight Lounge.
Oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and the Sublight Lounge was really cool. And so there's a couple of, and it's not real big. I don't understand what their deal is with making bars that are too small. I don't get it.
Yeah.
That said, most of the time when we walked in, we could get a seat.
Okay.
There were a couple times where you walked in and you had to stand for a little bit.
Huh.
One time we sat at the bar for a while until something opened up. And then we went
okay.
So you walk in and I was like, it's a little small, but it was probably big enough for what it needs to be. Right.
Okay.
Because like I said, we never really, we ended up getting a table every night. So we just may have to wait for it a little bit. But there's these like little pods around.
They're neat. Yeah.
And we sit there and stuff would happen in the bar too. So we sat in the bar and, and we were sitting there one night having drinks or it was one after, I think it was right before dinner. We were sitting in there, and then a large, hairy character who we may be familiar with, came into the bar and was hiding. So that was kind of
yeah.
Okay. So that, and like we were assisting with that.
That's fun.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
I was curious. I've seen pictures of him on board, and I was curious how I was curious if you saw him. So that's fun.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Sublight Lounge was great. I really enjoyed it, and the food, like the little bar food that they had, was quite good in there.
That's fun. Like I said, we always even kid around about the Uga's Cantina on Batu and stuff, and it's like, man, you guys should have made this bigger. I'd spend all day in there. They probably don't want that, but
I would have made. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, we could usually sit. I would have made this a little bit bigger. If it were me, I would have made it bigger.
Yeah,
but nobody asked me, so there.
Right, exactly.
But that was really cool. And then this is some of the pictures we took. Around with the characters after the sort of the finale.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this is the top picture is a Rodian. The other guy, he plays a role also in the show. I don't think he's
tattoos.
Yes, I don't know if he's somebody I'm sure he's from like Clone Wars or something like that.
Yeah, he's from I think the one of the Jedi had that tattoo stuff on him, so he's probably one of that species, whatever that is. I don't know. I'm not that good with the prequels, aliens.
Yeah, okay. So and then we had the Rodian, and then the second picture up here, that's Captain Keevan. That's us with Captain Keevan.
Okay, all right.
She's walking around and she talks to you about various things.
Right.
The guy down here was great. His name is Wraith, and he's Gaia's manager.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he plays a whole
other
role, right?
Okay.
And then this guy in the last picture, it's he's sort of the Jedi. He does the lightsaber training.
Oh, okay.
And I'll just this may be a spoiler or whatever, but I end up on, like, just for my experience was, I ended up, though I didn't start out in this track, I ended up on the Jedi path.
Oh, okay.
Or the Force path, I guess.
Right.
And so I interacted with that last guy
cool.
a couple times, but the other guys didn't. They were all doing different stuff.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So what are there, probably like 4 or 5 different like storylines, I guess, maybe?
We looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Later, and I think we saw a graphic that there were like 6 to 8 like possible paths.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's kind of what we saw. So I don't know if that's and then there's like, because I was really on 2 tracks. Like I ended up in, you know how I said that there's like a conclusion to your little story and then there's the finale.
Right.
Well, I ended up just by accident. Right. I ended up in 3 of those little conclusions.
Oh, okay.
And two of them were like things that I was supposed to do, and one of them I was doing something else, and I came out of the room and there was all these people there, and I ended up on theirs too. So I saw like 3 of the conclusions.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think there's the last picture.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So, but it was it was really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we said that back then too, like when we evaluated it. It's, if you're willing to pay the money,
right,
it's a good experience.
Okay. All right.
We really had a lot of fun. I had a lot more fun than I thought. I mean, after having done it, I think you and I would have a good time.
Right. Yeah.
After, I think my kids would love it. I really like, there was a girl that ended up with us a couple of times who was probably Katie's age.
Okay. Right.
And, or maybe a little older, but she was around Katie's age.
Yeah.
And she was having a blast. I mean, she was like running all over the place. She was, she was really into it. And I think it's, and I say, what I think about this thing, like, what I think is true about this thing is you do not need to be a Star Wars fan to go to this thing and enjoy it.
Okay.
Right. I think personally, you don't ever have to have seen a Star Wars movie to go to this thing and enjoy it.
Okay. Interesting. Right.
It's not really like, I would not say it's the ultimate fan experience. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep. All right.
Like if you are, like, I would even say that if you are somebody who is steeped in the lore of Star Wars, right? And you know all the planets and the races of beings and aliens and star systems and all this stuff,
right,
all the technical stuff. If you know all that stuff, you might be a little disappointed by this experience.
Okay. All right.
Right? Because I don't think you need to know any of that.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
You don't need to know any of the characters, really. Like, I certainly don't think you need to have seen anything prior to the sequels.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just a fun sort of Star Wars themed adventure, but I don't think there's anything in, like, I don't think there's anything in the Clone Wars. I don't think there's anything in the Mandalorian that you need to have seen in order to understand what's going on in this thing.
Okay, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so as long as you have a very basic understanding, you're like, oh, there's good guys and bad guys.
Right.
That's pretty much all you need to know, sounds like, right?
Exactly. I don't think you need to know the difference between the First Order and the Empire.
Right.
Like, you don't need to know any of that.
Okay.
All
right. Yeah.
And but I think it's just it's to me, it was sort of like you've been to Disney World.
Right.
Have you and your kids ever done that? Like, they had that Saucers in the Magic Kingdom thing for a while, where you go around and it was like a card game almost. You go around and unlock they had video screens, and if you had the right card, you could unlock the video screen, and the video screen would do something.
Okay, we never did that, but I remember something similar. That they had like some kind of Kim Possible thing in Epcot, I think, and I remember my niece doing it because my kids were too little, but I remember she was running around doing that.
Yeah, and the Kim Possible thing became a Phineas and Ferb adventure.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Around World Showcase, and then the Phineas and Ferb adventure is ending, and that's all becoming DuckTales now.
Oh,
and
right.
that's still in the process, but it's essentially the same thing.
Right.
Like you go around, there's like little clues, you follow the clues, they lead you to a conclusion, and then something happens.
Okay, right.
Right. It's kind of like that.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, on a much grander scale,
much larger. Yeah.
But that's kind of what it's like. So if you like that kind of thing, you probably like this.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Huh.
You know, and like my kids love, like, even when we went on the cruise last summer, there was like a scavenger hunt on the ship.
Yes.
And they did that, and they loved it. They had a great time. There were like 3 or 4 different ones. I think they did them all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is kind of
sounds very similar
idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good then. Yeah, because I kept thinking to myself, like, if I went and took the family, I feel like the family would be collectively like, you know what I mean? But if they like doing, like, basically it's an adventure, so it's like, I don't care if you like Star Wars or not. Let's go have some fun.
Yeah.
And you could all run around and do stuff together and stuff. Now you and I, like, obviously we have a great time, but
right. I would say, I definitely say it's fun with a group.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of groups. We had a real good time, the 4 of us, like just comparing notes. What are you doing? What did I do today?
Okay.
There were like little kids. I don't know that I would bring a little kid.
Yeah, I would imagine they would be a tag along basically, because they're not going to be doing their own thing. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know that I would bring a real small kid, but like, there were little kids, there were adults our age, there were groups of guys our age that were also there.
Okay.
There were couples, there were older people. Like there were some older, like significantly older people, like people you wouldn't expect to be there. There were some of those people there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Now I don't know what level, like I don't know how many of the missions, like they probably weren't running around Galaxy's Edge all day like we were.
Right.
So I don't know what they, and there's other stuff that goes on the ship. Like if you don't feel like doing any of that stuff, there's other stuff available. Like there's sabacc lessons and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
You can take. Right. So there's other things available. Like if you don't want to do those things, you can do these other things. But we were sort of like, hey, let's.
Yeah, right. Let's.
We're here. We might as well do it, right?
Okay. I wonder if that's some of the complaints. I wonder if people, like, if they're not into the scavenger hunt, that sort of thing. I wonder if that's some of the complaints, is like people like, like if you don't want to play on your phone the whole time, which isn't a bad thing. It could be both, but I wonder if there's some of the people that are they're not doing what they're supposed to do, so of course they're going to leave disappointed. Like
right.
Yeah.
So, but it was a cool experience. Like so for me, like, would I do it again? I would gladly do it again. Right. Okay. All right. Like if it didn't cost what it costs. Right. I would be all about taking my family, but like, for us, we have a certain budget for vacations.
Yes. Right.
This would be a big chunk of that.
Yeah.
For 4 of us to go to this thing, you're looking at around $6,000, right? Like that's just what it costs. And that's a significant chunk of our vacation budget. And it's sort of like, well, would I do this for 2 days, or would I rather go do something else for a week?
That's the disconnect. It's like I can do this 2-day thing, or I can do for what, $6,000, I could do a cruise, a real cruise. I'm sure they're more expensive than that, but still, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Like, or even if you're going to go down and spend the week at Disney, to say, well, 2 days I'm going to spend a crazy amount of money for the Star Wars experience, but then to come out the other side and be like, well, now I got to go spend all this money to stay at the park
right.
So I can see, I wonder, I'll be curious to see what they end up doing to finesse it,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this thing was great, and it really was. Like the actors are amazing. I mean, all of them were really good. The staff is great. From the people, the servers serving you dinner, to the people at the Sublight Lounge, to there were really nice people in the shop. Everybody's just talking. Like everybody was great. Like the staff of this thing is great.
Okay, yeah.
It's a really good experience, but it's just. It's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money for 2 days, and I would. It's like I said, coming home, and I was a skeptic going in.
Yeah.
Coming home, I would love to take my family to this, but I just don't think it's in the cards. I mean, that's just the reality,
Okay. No, that's interesting though. At least like you said, if you do decide to pay for it, at least it's a good experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like at least you're going to have a good time now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what Disney ends up doing with this, because I mean, it seems like it's a great idea, and like you said, it seems like you had a great time. It's just the with the value, it's like they got to figure out a way to maybe bring the price down somehow, but maintain the quality, and I don't know how they're going to do that.
Like I wonder if maybe they at some point, because we got a review, or we got a survey afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Asking all sorts of questions that I thought were interesting after having done it.
Oh,
and then we also got, like, supposedly they're going to call us. They want us all on a Zoom call, and they're going to talk about like what we liked, what we didn't like, what they thought could be better, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So now I haven't gotten an invite yet, but that's supposedly coming.
Oh, okay. Well, that should be very interesting to see what, both to give them their feedback, but also hear what questions they're asking. It would be curious to see.
Well, the survey questions I thought were, like, one of the survey questions was there were quite a few survey questions around the lightsaber experience.
Oh, all
right. And which I said, like I said, I it could have been better, but it's better than it looks in the marketing.
Okay.
But yeah, it could have been better. Right. But it, like, I had fun with it, but it could be better,
Okay.
But there were a lot of questions around that. So I thought, I think they're getting feedback that's, maybe not the greatest experience on the ship,
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I don't remember all this. I remember there were a lot of questions about that. There were a lot of questions about how your experience was once you got the Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Right.
Like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So,
well, right. Cause that's, like you said, if you're super, if you were super into it, and then you go down the Galaxy's Edge and you're dealing with just the average vacationer, that could be very, like, jarring,
Well, I'll give you an example. Again, not trying to spoil anything, but just as an example. So the three of us were up on the Starcruiser the night before, and we had an interaction with the engineer.
Okay.
Right. And the engineer, and it was a very personal, like, it was like us and the engineer.
Oh,
right. It was like him and the three of us, and he asked us specifically to go to Galaxy's Edge and deliver a message to somebody at Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Right. So all three of us tried to do it. Right. And the person we were supposed to deliver the message to, she either didn't know she was supposed to do something, or had no interest in doing something. But, like, so and I don't think it was like a big part of the storyline, but it was a little like, well, you're supposed to be playing along, man.
Like, right.
Like, I never even got a chance to talk to her. It was like, I tried to talk to her a couple times.
Right.
And she was, like, there was always a crowd around her because she was there with somebody else.
Oh.
And it was hard to get to her, and I called her name a couple of times, and I felt like she heard me but didn't acknowledge it. Right. And then the other guys apparently actually talked to her directly.
Right.
And she was just didn't have anything to say.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
So it's like that kind of like, and that was what I wrote about that in my survey. I was like, you know, that wasn't cool, right? Like either don't tell me to do it, because I actually like it took me, you know, maybe 20 minutes to find this person, first of all.
Okay. Or they was it like a shopkeeper or something like that?
No, she was like it was a character that I guess is a regular at Galaxy's Edge, but I think it's a different actor every day, or maybe I don't think it's the same person all the time, right? It's a different cast member a lot, but she has like blue hair. Like they were like, oh, she's got blue in her hair.
I know who you mean, right?
Yeah,
right.
And we're like, okay, so and you know, and again, like I was walking around looking for her because I really wanted to deliver the message, because I wanted to know what she would say, right?
Right.
And it took me maybe 20 minutes to find her, and then finally, when I found her, I couldn't talk to her. So I was just like, well, you know, for me, I thought, well, it's just the circumstance. You know, there were a lot of people around. She just didn't have time for it. But like when I went back and talked to the other guys, they were like, yeah, she just totally blew us off. Like I didn't, you know, I think she probably, you know, if she's a different cast member all the time, maybe she was new and she didn't know, or maybe, like I don't know.
She didn't get the notes that, you know, Galaxy's Edge people were coming down today or something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Or maybe she just didn't feel like dealing with it. Like who knows?
Yeah. You saw me. You got the message.
Right. You know. So that was one part that was like a little, you know, there's probably a disconnect between the people working on the Starcruiser,
I'm sure,
and the people working in Galaxy's Edge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I could see that being disappointing, especially because at that point you're into it and you're trying to track down this character. You know what I mean? Like you're like, all right, you know, like.
Well, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to say this to her. She's going to give me a message to deliver back to him. So I definitely want to give it, and I want to know what that message is. So I definitely want to find her and give her the message, right?
Right.
And then she was like, "Yeah, I don't know what the heck you're talking about."
She's like,
So anyway,
all right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So.
But it's. I think if you are like, if you are really into this thing, like if you were like, I desperately want to do this. I really want to go. I think you'll go and have a fantastic time.
Okay.
You know, I really do. I mean, it's a lot and fun, you know.
Good.
You know, if you're on the fence, you know, if you think it's a lot of money, well, that's, you know, you're not wrong. And, and, you know, it's, you know, I like I said, it's hard for me to say, is it worth it? I don't know if it's worth, like for us, I don't think I could do it.
Right.
But,
right. Well, interesting, right? Yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting because it's no secret that you know, Disney's trying to figure out what they're doing. You know, they're trying to refine it a little bit. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing and how they either improve it to make it, you know, either make it that much more value added, or how they can somehow bring the price down and keep the quality there. You know, it'll be interesting to see. So
yeah,
all right, well, good enough. Very jealous. Sounds like you had a great time.
It was. I wish that it would have been awesome if you could be. Like, I think you and I would have had a good time.
Yeah, right. That would have been a lot of fun. You know? So, cool. Well, I'm glad you got to experience it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
So, all right, what time is it now? Okay, good.
We're moving. Yeah, we were on that a long time. All right, so
that's fine. So, well, we're gonna have a few other things we want to cover, but I mean, I think it'll be pretty. I don't have too much to say here.
Yeah.
But I guess are you done? Did you have anything else for Galactic?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to move on. Let's go.
Okay, all right. So we're going to talk about Star Wars next, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna just really quick catch up on Andor, and I think I didn't even look. We're up to.
There was all right. So tonight is what's the date? So today is November 2nd. So an episode dropped today.
Okay. Now,
but neither of us have seen it, right?
Okay. So we're up to, what is it, episode 6 then we're current through?
I think so, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, so I don't have much to say. I mean, same thing I've been saying. I've really been enjoying the show. I mean, it is a slower paced show, and I've seen some people, you know, saying that it's too slow. I've really been liking it a lot. I really feel like there's a lot of world building going on here. I mean, last week he got sent to prison, and like, you know, you see him in the prison, and like, you know, they have their like ski boots on, so they don't get shocked on the floor. Like all that stuff is just like stuff you never saw in Star Wars before. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool. You know?
I love this show.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are I get, apparently it's, people are upset, not happy with it or whatever. I love the show. I think it's great. I love this. I love seeing, like, this is the stuff I always wanted to see. Right? Like, what happens? What's the, like, I'm trying to, like, what's it like for the common person in the Star Wars universe? And I think we're seeing that in this show.
Definitely.
Like, there's no Jedi, there's no Force powers. It's just, this is the daily grind of people in the Star Wars universe. This is how the Empire is sort of consolidating its power. You're seeing the maneuvering of the Emperor. Like, I thought it was fascinating last week, when or whenever, I don't even remember what show it was at this point, but the Emperor basically using the big heist as an excuse to essentially get slave labor, right? Like, that's what he's doing. And in the end, the heist probably, even as much money as they took, probably embarrassing. But in the like, it probably doesn't do much to the Empire.
Right.
But they're going to take that and they're going to use it to their advantage. And I just thought that was really interesting. And it's funny, like, not funny, but it was like the ironic that Cassian gets away with the heist, but then gets busted just walking around, like, not doing anything, right?
He's like, I'm on vacation. I'm just on the beach.
Right.
Move along,
The irony is, like, even though he got away with the heist, in the end it comes back to burn him.
Right, because of the repercussions.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was It was really neat just to see all that, and I mean, they're doing such a good job with it. I mean,
I love it. I
like how you're seeing the different levels. I mean, you have Cassian, obviously, but you have you're seeing the Imperial officers, and then you're on the other end is Mon Mothma up top,
right?
But then, like, I really like I think his name's Searle. He's the Imperial, right? He got fired, and then they show his mom's like riding him.
That's true. He's like the millennial, like, stuck at home,
right? And it's funny though, I don't know if people are picking up on that, but there's like a whole like sub thing there where it's very much a millennial thing.
It's a commentary on
life
in the world today.
Well, he's sort of like, he's what do you call it? Like, he's disappointed with how things are turning out, and then he ends up at just kind of doubling down on the evil of it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like, he's like, I gotta succeid. I don't care what's going on here. I don't know.
Right.
I thought it was really, really well done. How they've been doing it and everything. Yeah, I can't wait, and I want to see where, like, I actually really wanted to watch it today, and I didn't. I'm curious. I want to see where it's going, because I think we're 7 episodes, so I think this is 12, so we still have a ways to go. But I'm kind of curious what the for this season, what the end game is going to be.
Yeah, it's just been so, like, I just think it's incredibly interesting. Even the Mon Mothma stuff, which I that slows down a little bit when they get to her stuff, but even it's interesting how she's, they're sort of inching towards rebellion, but not willing to go all the way, right? Like, they're headed, they know they need to do something, they're not willing to go all the way, and so they're making these, like, little
baby steps,
right? And she's getting, and it's cool to see Luthen, like, saying, being like, no, you can't ride both sides of the line anymore. You got to make and he's trying to pull her into one direction,
yeah.
and she's resisting it, and it's
then he turns around and has this meeting with Saul Guerrero.
Oh, and oh my God,
the other side of things where he's just like basically let's blow them all up. He just wants to go out and guns blazing.
That whole scene with Saul is amazing. Like that guy Whitaker is amazing.
He's great.
Right. Yeah, he's so good in that role, and he's that whole scene is great.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we're going to see more of him, or if that was just a one-off to sort of show his position. I'm curious. I would love to see more of him because he's such a great character.
Yeah, and it's cool that he's like he's the radical.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's never, and we already know that he never makes it into the rebel, the big tent, right? Like,
right.
Like they're trying to cobble together all these like little groups, but Saul never gets there.
No,
Saul's always the radical, right?
Right. Yeah.
And and it's just and he's the radical when he dies on Jeddah, I just, it's like that. I'm so excited to see where this goes. Especially knowing it leads right up to Rogue One.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so interesting to see. And I was one of those people that were like, oh man, the politics and the prequels were so boring, and and I think the difference between the politics in the prequels and the politics here is this is done well. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like they just didn't, no disrespect to George, but it just wasn't handled as well as this is being handled.
Well, it was a different type of story. I mean, like this is like I guess you could say a political thriller.
Yeah, like intrigue and right.
Yeah. Whereas the prequels were at the time, Star Wars was Star Wars. There's a very narrow vision of it. So like, you start introducing politics to that, and everyone was kind of like, "What, trade routes? What?" Right. So it was that was very jarring. Whereas now, it'd be interesting, right? It would be much more interesting. Not to remake the prequels, but if you could approach the prequels with a different flavor type of almost, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just love that we're seeing. I mean, essentially, this is the birth of the rebellion. That's what we're watching, and I love how they're handling it. Yeah, I'm excited too. I think I'll be curious to see if you think we'll see more of some of the Rebels crew.
I think we were. I mean, we saw Melshi.
Who's Melshi?
Melshi is he's in Rogue One. Melshi is one of the prisoners, and he's
in Rogue One.
No, he's in this show. So the most recent episode, he was, he goes to jail and he's on that crew where they're building that stuff. Melshi is one of the people on his crew, but Melshi ends up in Rogue One. He's not one of the team, right? But he's one of the people that goes down to. He's one of the members of the team that goes to Scarif.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, and he ends up getting killed, as all of them do. Oh, right. But if you go back, as soon as I heard him say that, I was like, I know I've heard that name. I know I heard that name in Rogue One. Okay. And at first I thought he was the guy that he killed at the beginning of Rogue One.
Oh, right.
But he's not. He's just one of the.
He's one of the soldiers.
Yeah, he's one of the soldiers. Right.
Got it. Okay.
But I wonder if we're going to meet the guy that Cassian kills at the beginning of Rogue One.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be fun to just introduce him and stuff. Find out because he's the one that has a broken arm, right?
Yeah.
If in the next couple episodes someone breaks their arm, or I guess it probably has to be much closer, but you're gonna find someone that breaks their arm, you're gonna be like, that's the guy. Now, I was talking when I said Rebels, I was thinking more from the cartoon. Hera, Chopper, Kanan. I wonder if we'll see any of those guys. Probably not Kanan as much as, but I wonder if Hera would show up in Chopper.
I'll bet we do.
They're floating around. At this point, they're floating around somewhere.
Well, right, and wasn't the ghost on Did they
that's
show the
right.
ghost at Yavin?
And Chopper too. You see,
Yeah,
both,
yeah.
So it'd be pretty cool to see if we do come across, whether it's just a an Easter egg, or it'd be pretty neat if we actually, if they cast Hera and we get to see her, that'd be kind of cool
Right.
too.
Don't they even say her name over the loudspeaker? Like you hear it in the background
in Rogue One, yes,
like General Syndulla or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
which was fun at the time. That was really exciting because you're like, oh, she's from the cartoon.
Yeah. It's I love the show. I absolutely love the show. And it's like you said, I really wanted to watch it today. I just didn't have time. But like I'm all over it. I just and I actually listened to the other day. I listened to the most recent episode of Rebel Force Radio.
Okay.
And they had some clips of an interview with Tony Gilroy, who's like, I guess I don't know if he's the director or the showrunner.
Yeah, he's the showrunner, I believe.
Okay, yeah, and they have some clips of an interview. I don't know where it came from, and where he's talking about it, and man, it's just so like he's sort of like he's not somebody who's steeped in Star Wars lore. Like you can kind of see that he's not. He likes it, but he's not, he doesn't know all the ins and outs and of everything. And man, he's got some really interesting takes on where the show is going. It is. Remember, last time we were talking about how it seems like it's 3 episode arcs.
Right.
Well, that's the intent, right? So there's like these 3 episode arcs. He was saying that I think next season there are going to be. Remember, we speculated about time jumps,
right?
And he said there are going to be time jumps. It's going to be like, there's going to be like a 3 episode arc, and then it may jump. To like a couple, like a year or so later, or a few months later, and then a 3 episode arc, and then it may jump to like a couple of weeks later, and then there's the final 3 or whatever it is are going to be like just a couple of days before Rogue One begins, right?
Yeah.
So
we probably should meet. We probably will meet the guy.
I think we're going to see him. I think we're going to get that little backstory.
Well, because that's when we first meet Cassian. He's on whatever planet that is, and he's meeting that guy for information, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that'd be pretty cool if that's how it leads up to him. Like I forget when the first time we see him, but if it drops off with him like going down that alleyway or something,
Yeah.
That would be pretty...
This is a really, really good show, and I guess I'm hearing that people aren't loving it. I haven't really been following it, but
yeah, I've heard both. I've heard on one hand people were saying like, oh, it's initially people were saying, oh, it's not doing, a lot of people aren't watching it, this and that, and then there was this swell of love for it, and then I saw as like almost like a follow up that. Now they're saying like, oh no, it's doing great. The numbers are great. So I don't know what to believe. You know what I mean? Because there's all this other information out there. But I mean, everybody I've seen lately, initially everyone's like, oh, it's a little slow, and I'm like, well, yeah, but it's just getting started. But once people start watching it, and I think once they start watching it and get the feel for it, then I think everyone's on board. You know? I guess if you're coming in expecting like Star Wars, shoot 'em up, pew pew. I guess that could be a little,
if you're looking for all action, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. But like,
right.
But I mean, the shows that the action has been in, like that 3rd episode, man, I like the heist. I was on the edge of my seat like that entire episode,
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward. Like I expect. I mean, Cassian. I mean, I guess we've already talked about it, but he's in jail right now. I haven't seen the latest episode, but that'll be the 3rd of 3. I'm sure he's going to get broken out. So I'm curious to see how that all goes.
Exactly. Right. Me too. But the show's been so well written, and like nothing feels like extra or like we need an action sequence, or oh, we need a chase scene. Like I don't feel any of that. Whereas unfortunately, some of the other things, like you're like, oh, we better have a chase scene here.
Yeah,
like this just seems like literally like they wrote the story, and I mean, just I don't know, just everything seems to be making it. Just it's all making sense. It's just
Yeah.
very well done.
I don't see I don't feel like there's any filler
Right.
in this show, like none. It's
No.
just all like everything leads to, if you're looking at it like a 3-episode arc,
Yeah.
everything in those first 2 episodes leads to the conclusion in the third,
Right.
and then the story moves on from there. And I just think it's great.
Yeah.
I love how they're doing it.
I hope so. They have Favreau and doing all his Mandalorian stuff. I would love to see Tony Gilroy be put in charge of maybe this part of the timeline. If he has more to give and he has wants to do more, I'd love to see more. Once Cassian's story's over, okay, that's fine. Well, maybe you can go tell Saul Guerrero's story and see more of him, or something else. Or even really, I mean, the guy's done a great job. Put him anywhere. I mean, that's something that we didn't talk about, and I'm going to sort of change gears on you here for Star Wars, but I forgot to put it in the deck. They mentioned that Damien Lindelof.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name.
He is the guy that he was part of Lost with J.J. Abrams, and then he wrote Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh,
and he did the Watchmen movie, or I'm sorry, he did the Watchmen TV show.
Okay.
He's done a show called The Leftovers on HBO, but apparently he's heavily rumored to be working on the next Star Wars movie that's going to take place after the sequel trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I forgot all about it. And, so there hasn't been much. It's all rumored right now, but there's been a lot of people talking about it. So I think there must be there's some truth to it, but, whatever it would be, it'd be post sequels, and some of those characters may come forward into these movies, and that's pretty much as far as we've gotten. Okay. But I just thought it was interesting to see Lucasfilm starting to approach where to go next, and like they canceled Rogue Squadron, and they were just kind of lost, and so it seems like they're maybe coming up with a plan as to what should warrant a movie now.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
So, yeah, I forgot all about that. And so I just
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's like I said, there's not much out there. And at first it was just rumors, but then I think the Hollywood Reporter I think I retweeted something. I think it was from the Hollywood Reporter ran an article on it. So I'm like, all right, well, they're legit enough that, that there's got to be some truth to it. So
right.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of, between this and all the other stuff, a lot of cool Star Wars stuff going on.
Yeah, really, this is a really solid show. If you haven't seen it, sit down and watch it.
Definitely check it out.
Really good. So we'll have to watch the latest episode and see.
I know, right?
All right, I got to know. What do you think? What are they building in the prison?
I don't know. I'm like trying to figure it out, like, because it's kind of like it's kind of like an X type of shape to it, or like, what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe like. I thought it was part of a TIE fighter, like the wings or something, but it seems too small. So I don't know what it is yet. I don't do. Okay. Do you have a thought?
I don't know. I don't know that we'll even ever find out. But like, I was kind of thinking it would be like, you got to fit. Like, I'm sort of thinking it's either a part of they're either building stuff for the Death Star,
right?
Because you got to figure they need a lot of.
Because that's
free
all right
labor, for that. Yeah. So I figure it's either parts of the Death Star, or it's part of Star Destroyers or engines or something.
I guess
something.
It would, being that it's a prequel to Rogue One, it would be pretty cool if it was parts for the Death Star.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll never find out, but it'd be kind of neat, even if it's like an Easter egg in the background to see like the diagram, Death Star diagram, or something would be pretty.
Like
cool.
That's why, I don't think it'll ever be addressed, unless it's something like a little hint.
Yeah,
but that's what my first thought. I was like, oh, they got to be building stuff for the Death Star.
Yeah, well,
and they need a lot of them because that's all they do.
Right. So whatever it is, they got to make a lot of them. Yeah, that's true too.
So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, just curious. All right, I'm ready to move on now.
All right, cool. All right. What do we have next here?
All right, so this is, I'm gonna have to let you talk to this because if I can get it.
We got Tales of the Jedi. I'll make this quick. So I watched it. Mark hasn't seen it yet. So this is 6 episodes, and basically it kind of goes back and forth, but it's either an Ahsoka episode or it's a Count Dooku episode.
Oh,
And
I
they
didn't know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and they kind of go back and forth and tell their sort of their little stories. It's very well done. It's very good. I liked all of them. The Ahsoka ones were, I don't want to say standard, but it's kind of what you would expect from an Ahsoka story. I liked it. The Count Dooku ones I found very interesting because we don't really know much about him.
Yeah,
and you see him once early on when Qui-Gon's his Padawan, and sort of how he handles the situation. And the next one, you can slowly see him become disillusioned with the Jedi.
Okay.
Through these couple episodes, and then finally, there's like his last episode. It's very clear that he's not only no longer a Jedi, but he's a bad guy now. And so it's just very very well done, very interesting. I would really I could probably watch a whole show about Dooku at this point. I just found it very interesting, to sort of chart the downfall of a Jedi. It was and you became almost slightly sympathetic towards him, because you're like, because the Jedi were kind of corrupt, and the Jedi had lost their way, and so it's not like he was off the rails. He was kind of like, in a way, he was right.
He just dealt with it the wrong way. Right?
Exactly. Right. So
I'll tell you this. I didn't realize all 6 episodes dropped at once. I thought they were going to be released. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and they're only the first Ahsoka one is about 20 minutes, and then all the other ones I think are about between 15 and like maybe 18 minutes. They're shorter, so
okay.
You can definitely sit down in one night and watch all 6 of them and stuff. But yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Apparently, there's an Ahsoka novel, and the stories sort of interweave between that. Some people were a little upset that certain things didn't quite match up, but other people were like, no. If you really go back and look, it does match up. I don't care. I didn't read the novel, but
right.
But they said that, I think they're still trying to make everything work. So, and at the end of the day, I'm like, well, Filoni's the one that created her with Lucas, so I'll take his story over the novel.
Right.
So I imagine eventually they'll go back to that hierarchy of, now everything's supposed to matter, but in the old days it was like the movies, whatever George did was number one, and then it was a tiered system, and I assume that eventually they'll get back to that as more stuff becomes
right.
As more stuff becomes, or everything's canon, but as more stuff becomes live action oriented, I think they're gonna have to fudge things here and there, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, I think they made that decision with the assumption that they were only going to tell stories going forward.
Right.
And they keep jumping. So they keep jumping back and forth. So they gotta, you're going to just run into inconsistencies. That's just the way you can't keep telling stories like that and not run into inconsistencies,
Right. Yeah. And then after, I forget where I saw something with Favreau and Filoni talking, and they were talking about, you always want to respect the past and build on those stories. But they said it's funny now because now they have all the original Star Wars stuff, but now they have their own stories that they have to worry about.
Right.
They were talking about the Mandalorian, but they're like, now we have 3 seasons of this, or 2 seasons, and the Boba Fett, that we have to worry about. And so it was a neat little interview I saw. I was on Twitter, I think I saw it, but anyway,
yeah,
so
cool.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, definitely check this out if you get a chance.
I do want to watch it. I thought it was dropping week to week. I didn't know that it all came out at once. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely highly recommend it though. Especially the Dooku episodes. I really like them.
Okay. Excellent.
Cool. All right. Good.
Or is that all we have?
Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for Tales of the Jedi, and I think that's it for Star Wars, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're ready to move on to. If I can get this.
There we go.
Marvel Studios. All right, so we got the Quantummania trailer finally.
Right, after all this time. It's funny is I saw it when it came out. I was super excited. Totally forgot about it. And I don't mean that in the bad way. I was just surprised. I was like, oh, and we were talking today, getting ready for the show. I'm like, oh, totally forgot this came out.
Yeah. I was actually, this dropped while I was on the Starcruiser.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it was like Saturday or something like that. We're all watching it on our phones.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. I think this. So the big thing for us is we were saying is Well, first of all, I'll say the trailer looks really good and interesting, and it has me excited for this movie, especially the appearance of Kang and all that stuff.
Right.
But I guess in the trailer they released at D23, and we mentioned it on the show. Apparently, there's a line in there where Kang turns around to Ant-Man and says, "Aren't you an Avenger? Haven't I killed you already, or didn't I kill you before, or something like that?" Which
or have I killed you yet?
Have I killed? Yes, but whatever the line was, it kind of gave me goosebumps, and I really liked the line in terms of reading the descriptions of the trailer, and it's not in this trailer.
No.
And so I don't know why, because I thought that sounded really good. So I'm hoping it makes it into the final movie.
Yeah, and that wasn't like an isolated report.
Right.
Like a couple of different people said that line was said in the D23 trailer.
Yeah.
So I was like, when this dropped, I was like, oh, we're finally going to see it, and then it wasn't there, and I was like, what happened?
I know. Maybe they're saving it. Maybe it got such a good response that they're saving it for closer to the release date or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's
I hope it makes it to the final cut.
Yeah, because that just seemed like a really just goosebump type of this just got real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks Bill Murray. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
This whole thing. It looks crazy. Like they're in the quantum realm, and there's I guess it's like a whole nother universe in there, and it's just something I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really good, and it looks like we always. How many movies have we gotten now where we're like, I think this is really going to be the turn?
Right.
I mean, clearly Kang is in this movie, and we know that. But I don't know. It looks a little heavy, for an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, which great. I'm all aboard.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Whereas Thor started out serious and now became a comedy, Ant-Man started out a comedy, and it seems that he's going to become more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it is. I mean, I hope I think if Kang's involved, it has to be. If he's going to be your big main bad guy villain, and obviously that's going to carry through to the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think they can make it funny. They have to do. It has to get serious at some point.
Right.
Yeah. So I imagine this will probably start out funny, and and then gradually be like, this. Yeah.
It's going to have its moments. Yeah, it's going to have its moments. But that scene, just the scene between him and Kang that you see at the end of this trailer, it looks like they're having a pretty rough conversation.
Yeah, I know. Somebody was online with just theorizing, but they're like, "Oh, do you think Ant-Man's going to make it out of this one?" And I was like, because between the Wasp and his daughter, it looks like she has powers now.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that."
Well, you know what I noticed? You see Michael Douglas at the beginning of this trailer, and then you don't really see him in the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if something happens to him.
That's a good point, because I noticed that too, and I thought initially, oh, I wonder if he doesn't get sucked into the quantum realm. But then you do see him in the realm with him at one point.
Yeah.
But then, so I'm curious if he just doesn't have as big a part in this movie, but why not? Because he's been such a big part of the other two.
Right.
Yeah, maybe his days are numbered. Maybe he's, I don't know.
Yeah. And then like Bill Murray, where does he fit into all this?
I don't know who he even is. Like, I don't know what character he's playing. So, I mean, I know he is playing. I shouldn't say I know, but I'm pretty sure he's playing a bad guy. But
okay.
But I'm not sure what kind of bad guy. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's like a truly an evil bad guy, or if it's just
like Jeff Bridges bad guy, or not Jeff Bridges, Jeff Goldblum bad guy.
Yes, right.
Where he's like a bad guy, but he's kind of funny. And...
Right. The Grandmaster, right?
Yeah.
He was really good at that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really looking for, like we said, we keep saying this, but I'm really looking forward to this one. And I'm really hoping that this is the start of phase 5, I believe. Am I right?
Think so. I think so.
Right. Because Wakanda Forever wraps up, and then the Guardians Holiday Special wraps up Phase 4.
Right.
And so then Phase 5, right? So I'm almost, not that I didn't like Phase 4, but Phase 4 was like sort of like a rebuilding period, I guess you could say. And so I'm really looking forward to Phase 5 because I'd really like to get things moving, like moving again in terms of the MCU and an avenue where like where we're going.
Right. Yeah, but this looks great. I mean, I'm impressed with what we've seen so far. And you know what? We don't have it up here, but you just mentioned it. The Guardians trailer came out, and we don't have.
Oh,
that's right. I didn't think about it until you just said it.
I know. I forgot. I forgot we got a trailer for it too. Oh,
but that looks great.
That looks very funny.
Yeah.
That looks. I think that's going to be classic Guardians, but very funny. And I guess spoilers, but it's in the trailer. They're like trying to get Kevin Bacon as a gift for Star-Lord. I thought that was just hysterical.
And we didn't know that was happening, right? Like that's just because I was like, Kevin Bacon is in it,
right? But then you're like, oh, it is Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon as Kevin Bacon. Yeah. But that looks really good too. I forgot about that. That's that's right. I guess that's probably right at. Well, wait.
It's like a Chris. Well, it's. I think it's right after Thanksgiving. I think.
Yeah, probably. Out. Yeah. I don't know the exact date, but yes, I'm sure it's right after. Probably right.
Yeah, in that December, Thanksgiving, December, Christmas time frame.
Yeah.
So that looks really good.
Yeah. So, really looking forward to that. And then we just mentioned it, but then Wakanda Forever is coming out next weekend. And, I know we've talked about this before, and I'm just looking forward to this. I really want to see how they handle the death of Black Panther in universe. I'm really curious how they're going to handle that. And then it looks great. I mean, it looks like, everything that we liked about the first Black Panther movie. I mean, it looks great. Namor, however you say his name. He's certainly very interesting looking. I'm curious how they're going to handle all that. But
that's really what, like, I'm almost more interested. Not more interested. I'm very interested in how they're going to deal with Namor.
Yeah,
that's really what I like. I want to see that all play out. Knowing that he's sort of he's not a villain in the comics, but he's
just like a jerk.
Yeah, he's kind of a pain in the
right,
kind of pain in the rear end, and
right.
Whenever he shows, like, he's never cooperating. He's never,
right.
So I'm sort of curious as to how they handle it. In the MCU, like he'll be an interesting character to bring into the MCU.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm warming up to the differences between his comic book version and the on-screen versions. Like he in the comics, he has no Aztec, nothing like that, and so initially I was very jarring. And now I'm warming up to it now. Now I'm like, all right, well, it certainly looks interesting. So I'm like, all right, let's see where this is going. I'm willing to give this a chance. I mean, it's not I was some huge Namor fan. It just didn't look like the comic, so I was jarring, because I feel like Marvel usually does a pretty good job of trying to at least initially stay true to the comic. So I found so I found that interesting. But the main reason I wanted to talk about this was just the image on the screen now is, I mean, spoilers, but not really even anymore. I mean, this is definitely a female Black Panther, and I mean, with the dots on her head and everything like that. I mean, it's got to be Shuri.
I think so.
Am I saying her name right?
Shuri.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. And I wonder if they're making it clear it's her, just because there was so much speculation and everybody was all over the place about who it was, and they were like, you know what, we better get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And make it sort of clear that it's her, so that there aren't people who are like, oh, I thought it, I'm disappointed because.
Right, can start to control the narrative a little bit.
Right.
All right, yes, Shuri's going to be Black Panther now, and it's not really it's not about the mystery of who becomes Black Panther. It's how they deal with the death of
right
T'Challa, and and so I give them credit for that. I think that's good that they're right. They don't want to set people up to be disappointed, so they're like, look, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it, but I think it's clear now. It's certainly a female. It's
Right.
My guess all along, like it makes the most sense that it's Shuri.
Right.
Because that's sort of how it goes in the comics. Like that's seemed to be, I think it happened earlier than they expected, but that's probably where they were going to go at some point.
Yeah, right. If he hadn't passed away, I think she still would have ended up being Black Panther at some point.
Right.
Right.
So
yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, just I think they may have learned a little bit from the Star Wars side of things with J.J. Abrams and his mystery box.
Yeah.
He has a whole mystery box, and will they, won't they, and while that's fun to an extent, I feel like that backfired on them with Star Wars, and so now I think Marvel learned the lesson. They're like, just tell them.
Don't screw around with it. Just let them know.
Well, why? It's almost like, look, we got a really good movie here. Why rely on that to get people into theaters? Like, it's like let's sell them on the movie. Let's sell them on. This is really good. Come see it. So, hopefully it's true. Hopefully it all works out.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to make plans to go see it. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that and see. But what's it? You said next not this Friday. I think Friday, it's Friday, right?
Yeah, like it's that thing where it starts Thursday, even though Friday's the release date. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why they do that, but
I know, right? So
yes, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So good. Okay. What else do we have?
The only thing we have is the DC news.
Right. I was just going to talk about this really quick. We don't have much information, but so, Warner Brothers, Discovery, they own DC Comics and DC Studios and all that, but they were looking for their own Kevin Feige, and this search has been going for quite some time. And I guess just a few days ago, they announced that, we all know James Gunn from the Guardians movies and, from Marvel at large, I guess, because he's been helping out with a lot of stuff over there. And then this other guy, Peter Safran, who's a producer behind the scenes and has done a lot of stuff for both Warner Brothers and a lot of the DC stuff he's been a producer on, apparently.
Okay.
So anyway, these guys are in charge now of the DC universe. So James Gunn still has Guardians Holiday Special and Guardians 3 for Marvel coming out, but other than that, he's over in the DCU now. And as a matter of fact, he posted something.
Is he done with Marvel?
For 4 years, yes.
Okay.
So he in his thing, it's like, all right, you can finish up your Guardians stuff, and then he's done. Then he's an executive with DC.
Okay.
So he'll be working with them. He posted something on November 1st was technically his first day, and he posted a picture of Superman, like kind of sitting in front of a typewriter, kind of like smashing it, And he said something. He's like, "Oh, can't wait to start my first day," or something. So I don't know. I mean, I'm excited because I like him and I like his stuff that he's done. I'll be curious to see how he applies it to the more classic DC heroes. I enjoyed his obviously the Guardians have been great, and I enjoyed his version of the Suicide Squad. That was fun. Yeah. And the Peacemaker show was hysterical. That was really good. But I mean, it's definitely everything skews more adult, more grown up. So I'll be curious to see, like Superman's a done deal. Like they're doing another Superman movie with Henry Cavill.
Okay.
And so I will be curious to see, what he can bring. Like, I don't know if he'll be directing it, but I'll be curious to see his input and, because he sort of skews, a little adult. So you want to make a Superman movie for everybody. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah. But I think he's proven, at least from what we've seen, with Guardians and, the Suicide Squad and everything else, like he has a way of capturing those characters, like really like really capturing the essence of the character from the comics. I
think that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And so it'll be like, hopefully that can translate, because I think that's where DC has been like missing the mark. Like they don't, like the characters in the movies are not, and I don't expect Superman to be exactly like Superman from the 1950s comics, but right, like there's qualities to Superman that are consistent through the years, even if he's changed, you know. So
that's a good way to say, right? You can modernize a character without compromising what makes them the character. Is that
right,
make sense,
right.
Yeah. So I know already. Apparently, so we kind of split it last week with our last episode with Black Adam, but so Henry Cavill shows up at the end of Black Adam and the end credit scene.
Right.
Apparently they play the John Williams Superman theme music when he shows up.
Oh, really?
Right. So it's like they're hearkening back to the that era, and I think his suit is more brighter than it. I mean, not for love him, hate him, Zack Snyder, everything was so washed out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, my superheroes are supposed to be bright and shiny, like like especially Superman, like that's his bag, baby.
Yeah, right. He's not trying to be subtle.
Right. He's like, here I am. I'm happy. I'm here to rescue you.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And then just the other thing they have, I will be curious to see what happens with Flash. But then even Aquaman 2 is like apparently Ben Affleck's in that. So there's been some reorganizational stuff going on behind the scenes as it is, and now bringing him on board. I'm kind of, dare I say it, I'm kind of excited for the DC
I know.
I haven't heard great things about Black Adam, but I haven't heard terrible things about Black Adam.
Okay.
So, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to get to the theater to see it, but I'm
pulling for that movie. Like it's like you said, I'm part of the problem because I'm probably not going to go see it.
I know,
but I mean, I hope it does well.
Yes, I'd like to see it do well. I've heard that the movie itself isn't great, but the various scenes within the movie are good.
Okay.
So it almost sounds like it's a structure problem, but on a positive note, apparently Dr. Fate is the star of the movie. He's awesome, and so that made me happy.
Oh, excellent!
Because I like Dr. Fate.
Yeah. Excellent.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I want that movie to do well. I should go to see it, but I probably won't. But I want it to do well.
Well, yeah, I was trying to think of. I'm like, oh, maybe we should try to go see that, this and that, and then all of a sudden now, like Wakanda Forever's coming out. I'm like, oh, well, what?
I'm going to see one. Yeah, I'm totally going. If I'm going to the theater, I'm going to see Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
I'll wait for streaming for like.
Well, that's the sad thing is, I mean, it'll be on HBO, but like, it probably literally. What's it now? By December, maybe. I mean, it's not very long anymore.
Yeah, it's only a couple months.
Yeah,
I mean, the turnaround is crazy.
And it's funny for movies that I don't pay attention to how quickly they just seem to appear. I mean, I literally, so yeah. So anyway, I'm pulling for Black Adam, but I'm pulling for James Gunn and this other guy.
Yeah,
and I'm just hopefully I'd love to get some good quality DC movies. I mean, at the very least, just give me a really good Superman movie. I think that would really set the tone. I mean, Batman, they have him figured out, and and it'll be kind of interesting because they'll be, they're going to try to do their universe, but then I think they're also going to have the Batman. They'll be doing his movies, and they have the Joker, and he's unrelated to the Batman, and he's got his movie, and they're going to do a sequel of that. So I think they're.
Did I hear that's going to be a musical?
Oh,
and Lady Gaga's in it.
She's going to be in it. And I think she's playing Harley Quinn, but I didn't hear it was going to be a musical.
I heard it's going to be, well, maybe not a musical, but it's going to be like there's going to be a lot of music in it.
Oh,
as I heard.
Well, I mean,
if you're bringing in Lady Gaga,
right? I mean, I guess it would make sense. Like, you could probably make it make sense in terms of the Joker and like what he's hearing in his head, and maybe he's hearing songs, or
right.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that part of it. I mean, maybe.
I heard that. I don't know if it's accurate, but I heard that.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Well, did you ever see the first? Did you see the Joker?
I did.
One?
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, yeah.
And I liked it. I mean, I thought it was, for what it was. I mean, I don't know that I'd sit down with my family and watch it for movie night, but it was it was compelling.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to put it. Right. I don't know if we needed a Joker movie, but I'm like, I watched it. I liked it, but I don't think I'd go back and watch it again.
Right. Right.
If you're going to do it, I would much rather have him fighting Batman and, do a traditional, Batman Joker type of thing, but whatever, if hey, it made a ton of money and I'm like, all right, fine.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix was,
he was great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good movie. It's like you said, I don't know that it's not going to be like one of those movies I pop in and
right.
check out. But it was a good movie.
Yeah. So so we'll have to see what DC does and see how they're going and stuff. Yeah. So I guess that's really about it. Do we have anything else? No, that was it for tonight. Right?
I think that's it for tonight. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Here, let's wrap it up so you can get to the Phillies.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're at the bottom of the fourth, and it's 0-0.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't know where this is going tonight.
Well,
hopefully,
that means anything can happen. Then that's good.
I know.
Right?
I know. We need them to win these games at home. All right, gang. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow us on Facebook and on. Facebook and on Twitter. We're at Geek Hangout Pod. We also have an Instagram account. Did I do the Instagram right? I was trying to tag us a lot in my Star Wars, in my Halcyon post.
Did, but I don't, I mean, I got a notification, but I don't know if our people going to Instagram, they didn't see it. I don't think.
Okay. So, because I have all these I have a ton of pictures. I showed a fraction of the pictures I have today. So what I'll do is I'll go out and start posting them on our various social medias so that you can see some of the different stuff. Cause I have a ton of pictures I took. I'll have to post this, but anyway, I'll look for that. I'll try to do that this week. And with that, I guess we'll wrap up the show tonight.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you next time. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening.